Hello, this is Unit 9, Lesson 1. So the first thing we're going to start talking about here in this unit that's about area and perimeter and a bunch of other things of nice little figures, we're going to look at the rectangle. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do in this lesson is to learn a few things about rectangles. So here's what we got. Okay, a rectangle, if you recall from what we've talked about before, it is a parallelogram. It has four right angles and the diagonals are equal length. In fact, this is one of the ways that you can identify a rectangle is if it is a quadrilateral and has diagonals of the same length, or actually a parallelogram that has diagonals of the same length, then that makes it a rectangle. That's one of the ways you can know. The other way you can know is if all four angles are right angles. Okay, the area of a rectangle is obtained by multiplying its length and width. So the formula for this, given this particular figure that we have here with this rectangle, the area would equal L times W. Okay, the perimeter of a rectangle, like any other polygon, is you find by finding the sum of the lengths of all the sides. In this case, with a rectangle, you have four sides, so you need to add four numbers together. And here's what you got. Given this rectangle, notice that you have two sides with length W and two sides with length L. So the perimeter is going to equal W plus L plus L. Okay, you can simplify this to some degree by combining the like terms. So P is equal to 2 times W plus 2 times L. Okay, the length of a diagonal rectangle, you can find that using the Pythagorean theorem, or in some instances you can use the trig ratios. Okay, trig ratios are sine, cosine, and tangent, and depending on the information that you're given, you can find it from that. But typically what's going to happen is you're going to know two of the sides, and so the Pythagorean theorem is the quickest, easiest way to do that. Okay, so the D here represents the length of the diagonal, and the formula for this would be D squared is equal to L squared plus W squared. So take the square root of both sides, and D is equal to the square root of L squared plus W squared. Okay, example 1. They want us to find the area, perimeter, and length of the diagonal of this rectangle. So we notice that we have a length of square root of 5 and a width of square root of 3. Okay, so the first thing they want us to do is find the area. So the area is the square root of 5 times the square root of 13, which is simply the square root of 15, which when you put it in a calculator, it comes out to approximately 3.87. Okay, the next thing they want us to find is the perimeter. So that's 2 of the square roots of 5 plus 2 of the square roots of 3. It comes out to approximately 7.94 because you can put that expression 2 square root of 5 plus 2 square root of 3 in your calculator, press enter, and it comes up to 7.94. Alright, lastly they want us to find the length of the diagonal. So the length of the diagonal is going to be given to us by the square root of 5 squared plus square root of 3 squared. So this gives us the diagonal length is equal to the square root of 5 plus 3, which is square root of 8, which is approximately 2.83. Okay, example 2. They want us to find the area, perimeter, and length of the diagonal of this rectangle. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, this time we've got a diagonal length of 2, and we have the fact that there's a 30-degree angle and a 60-degree angle in each of these two triangles that are formed by the diagonal. Since it is a right triangle, we can use different things to find information from this. So we're going to use the trig ratios in this case. So the first thing we need to do is to find out what the length is, or the width, the up and down part here the vertical part in this particular diagram is going to be the sine of 30 is equal to x over 2. Okay, so this gives us x, when we cross multiply, gives us x is equal to 2 times the sine of 30. So x is equal to 2 times 1/2, because 1/2 is the sine of 30, and that comes out to 1. So the x part in this little blue diagram here is going to be 1. Okay, the cosine of 30 is equal to y over 2 in this case, because y represents the horizontal length here. So we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. So this gives us y equals 2 cosine 30, which is approximately 1.73. Okay, so now to get the area, we're going to multiply the x and the y from the little blue diagram together. So this gives us 1, which is our x, times 1.73, which came from the y, gives us that the area of this rectangle is approximately 1.73. Okay, the perimeter is equal to 2 times the x value plus 2 times the y value, so this is equal to 2 times 1 plus 2 times 1.73, which is approximately 5.46. Okay, so the diagonal length is 2, which was given to us to begin with. Okay, example 3. We have a certain rectangle that has a width of 36 while the length of its diagonal is 48. They want to know what is its length. Okay, so first off we draw out our diagram. So this gives us 48 is our diagonal length, 36 is our height or the width, whichever one you want to call it. And we're looking for L in this case. So we start out with our formula that said that L squared plus W squared equals the diagonal squared. So in this case it's going to be L squared is equal to 36 squared is equal to 48 squared. So L squared is equal to 48 squared minus 36 squared. So L is equal to the square root of 48 squared minus 36 squared, which when you put this in your calculator comes out to 31.75. Okay, give you a couple of seconds to figure this one. And then we're going to move on to this, definitions of a square. A square is simply a special rectangle in which all the sides are of equal length, and where the diagonals are perpendicular because it is also a rhombus. This means that where the diagonals intersect, they intersect at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so example 4 is using a square. So they have a diagonal of a square that measures 5. How long are the sides of the square, and what is its area and perimeter? Okay, so we draw our diagram. Each side of the square is going to be represented by x. 5 is the diagonal. Okay, so this gives us, using the Pythagorean theorem on the triangle that has two sides of x and 5 for the hypotenuse, we have x squared plus x squared equals 5 squared. So 2x squared equals 25. So x squared is equal to 25 over 2. So x is equal to the square root of 25 over 2, which is approximately 3.54. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look for is the area. So the area is simply the side times, or the length of the side times the width of the side, which in this case is x times x, which is 25 over 2, which is equal to 12.5. Okay, the perimeter is going to be 4 times the side length, which is x, so this is approximately equal to 4 times 3.54, which approximates out to approximately 14.14. Okay, this is how you handle this situation. Alright, let's look at example 5. The length of a rectangle is 6 more than twice its width, while the perimeter is 60 meters. What are the dimensions of the rectangle and what is its area? First thing you want to do is establish a base here which says that L is equal to 2 times the width, because it said it was twice its width, plus 6 because it was 6 more. So L is equal to 2W plus 6. So the perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, which is the general formula for this. But what we're going to do is, since we already know that L is equal to 2W plus 6, is we're going to substitute that in for L. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So this becomes, the perimeter is equal to 2 times the quantity, 2W plus 6 plus 2W. Okay, since we know that the perimeter is 60, we're going to substitute that in. So 60 is equal to 4W plus 12 plus 2W. Okay, we're going to combine like terms, so this gives you 60 minus 12 is equal to 6W. So that gives us 48 equals 6W. So when we divide both sides by 6, W is equal to 8 meters. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to find the rest of the dimensions, which the other dimension is the length. So we're going to take the 8 meters and substitute it back into our original equation. So L equals 2 times 8 plus 6. So L is equal to 16 plus 6. So L is equal to 22 meters. Okay, that takes care of the question that asks what are the dimensions of the rectangle. So now we need to find the area. So the area is equal to length times width. Area is equal to the length of 22 times the width of 8. So the area in this case is 176 meters squared. Okay, let's look at example 6. Example 6 says, what is the area of this concave polygon? Well, this is kind of a strange looking thing. So we're going to have to do some work on it, and they also want to know what is its perimeter. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we can do. What I would suggest here is to draw a rectangle and cut out the parts that are missing from your figure here. So this gives us a big rectangle that's 5 plus 4 long by 3 plus 1 wide. Okay, we get that from the dimensions of the original one. Okay, we're also going to show this dotted area of 4 by 2. That takes care of the section in the upper left corner that was cut out of the original rectangle. And then we have a 1 by 1 square down in the lower right corner. So we're going to find the information for the whole thing, and then we're going to subtract that out. So the area of this one is going to equal 9 times 4, which is the overall length times the overall width, and we're going to subtract from that the rectangular area 2 times 4, which is the area in the upper left corner, minus 1 times 1, which is the cutout area in the lower right. Okay, so the area here is going to equal 36 minus 8 minus 1. So the area is equal to 27. Okay, the other thing they want us to do is to find the perimeter. So this time all we're going to do is, since we got all these little figures going around, we're going to find the area, or the perimeter, which is the sum of all these put together. So that gives us 4 plus 2 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1, and then this section right here is the overall length of 9 minus this 1. So this is going to be 9 minus 1 going along the base here, plus 2. Add all those up and you get 26. That's your perimeter. Okay, I believe this has got this lesson complete. Once again, if you have any questions while you've been watching this, write it down on a piece of paper, bring it to class tomorrow, and we'll be glad to answer the questions before we start any work. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.